Welcome to another episode of the More Mentors podcast, where I speak to business leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs. And today I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Edson Homera, Senior Partner at Zvimba Chambers. Welcome to the More Mentors podcast.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Maureen.
It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Well.
I see that you're a commercial and family law expert. What really has inspired you into the journey of becoming a lawyer, and now you're here as a senior or as a partner at the law firm? What has inspired your journey as a law expert?
All right, thank you so much. I would rather say finding myself in the legal fraternity was rather an unplanned event. Mm-hmm. Most of the motivation came when I was working in a law firm. Mm-hmm. Immediately after me finishing my my ordinary level. Mm-hmm. And then I was employed in a legal firm, and I drew the inspiration from my bosses, the management which was there, the legal practitioner I was working with during that time. And that was back then in 2011, thereabout. Thereafter I took up my studies to learn as an attorney.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're saying you didn't plan to become in the legal sector, but you were inspired because you went to a work placement. What exactly inspired you? Is there a particular person that inspired you into joining this field particularly? What is it that inspired you about the actual field itself, so to speak?
Okay, maybe I'll just draw you back a little bit into when I finished my ordinary level. My desire was to become an accountant, and at that stage I was looking at my options of trying to get into other accounting firms, etc., to then advance myself from there. But during that search now, I then found myself working in an administrative dispatch role in a law firm, where I was dabbling between administration and dispatch in that firm. And at that moment I was directly finding myself with these legal practitioners and the way they were caring about their businesses, the way they would wear those gowns and the jabots and carry their briefcases to court, arguing court matters. And at some instances I would actually request to actually say, can I tag along with you in court? And doing those duties, then a calling came upon me to say, I think this may be the right profession for me.
Wow.
Let me, at some moment I did actually a course in with the Institute of Administration and Commerce, which was account related. But then I had to stop it along the way and focus on the legal profession.
Wow,
Yes,
interesting.
yes.
And I see that you are referring to the calling came upon you. Would you then, can I just draw you into thinking a bit deeper? Would you say that one has to be called, so to speak, to do this type of job? I'm referring to really the qualities that one needs to have to be a legal practitioner. Do you think what sort of skills does one person needs to have to do this particular trade?
Well, I just made reference to calling, but not necessarily. You don't necessarily need to be called, but you have to have an interest. You have to enjoy actually reading, because there's a lot that is required in one being an attorney. You are dealing with people's lives. You are dealing with issues that matter to people, and you need to really have the ability to enjoy fighting for justice. Because at the end of the day, fighting for justice is on different levels and different spectrums of life. And if you don't have that drive within you, that calling within you to say, where you come across an injustice, you want to address it. That drive is the one that then I have labeled calling, because it is a drive that then pushes you to say, no, I'll take up this matter and ensure that justice is arrived at.
Wow.
So that's the kind of calling
you're referring to.
I'm referring to.
So for the average young entrepreneur, because as the More Mentors podcast, one of our objectives is to really inspire and impact the younger generation. You know, we may be having young people who may be thinking, shall I not? You know, what would you be saying? What sort of qualities would you say, and what are some of the challenges that they can expect to find in this particular field, especially around, you know, during the education, the studying and university part?
Qualities, determination, integrity. You need those. You need those qualities. Never give up on your dreams. You can be whatever you want to be. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve, as long as you set your mind upon it, set your heart on it. You know, I've already mentioned to you that I was in the dispatch. You know, in a legal setup, dispatch department is the lowest department in the legal setup. Wow. But here I am today. I'm a partner at a law firm, and you know, I have moved from the lowest ranks to the top rank. So you can be whatever you want to be if you set up your mind on it. You achieve it. Integrity counts a lot, because people judge you based on your integrity. People judge you based on how you address particular matters. So you need to have integrity, determination, and focus on whatever you want to achieve, and definitely you achieve it.
Absolutely amazing. And I think one of the echoing words that is coming across is really about determination and integrity, but determination from having worked your way from the bottom rank as a dispatch officer or dispatch office to actually becoming a partner. That's really inspirational. And this is something for someone that may be watching to really take on board, that it's really about your determination. Never let any circumstance or where you are now deter you from going for what you really want. So yes, thank you for that. Very inspirational. And join us in the next segment as we continue to speak to our partner at Zvimba Chambers here in Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
And it's a second episode, and I'm still speaking to Mr. Edson Homera, Senior Partner at Zvimba Chamber and Law Firm here in Zimbabwe. And, you know, I was looking at your profile, and I was really intrigued to see that you've not only studied here in Zimbabwe, but you've actually studied in South Africa, and you're a holder of multiple degrees. Can you walk me through some of these degrees that you've done? And I would like to ask how that has impacted you as a leader and as a legal practitioner in the marketplace today.
All right. Maybe first and foremost, maybe I will just state that I hold a law degree, which is one degree. Then I've done postgraduate programs, which are two of them. One with the University of Zimbabwe on constitutional and electoral litigation, and I have done another one with the Zimbabwe Defence University, which is more focused on conflict resolution and early warning mechanisms. And currently I'm pursuing the third one with the University of Zimbabwe, which is on lands and minerals law. Yeah, so basically that's my career. And as a legal practitioner, my mantra is mainly premised on research and study. You need to be well versed with all areas of dispute related areas in law, and for you to be able to actually solve problems, you need to be versed with the contemporary disputes that are emerging, not only in Zimbabwe but throughout the whole of Africa and beyond. So studying addresses those issues. This is why you never stop learning. So they
Yes.
say knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
You need to continue equipping yourself
Absolutely.
with the contemporary information.
Absolutely. And I really like the fact that you are gearing yourself up not only for Zimbabwe, but for Africa as a whole. With all these academic qualifications that you now hold, it really positions you as not only a leader in Zimbabwe, but across Africa. You are quite applicable in your field, which is really inspiring to see, and really a challenge to the young generation. What would you say to a young person who may be thinking, or an aspiring legal practitioner who may be thinking of getting into that particular field? What words of advice would you say to them in terms of positioning themselves in the marketplace today?
Yes, maybe what one key advice I would always give to the young generation is to always emphasize, to say that law is not a bread and butter issue. It's not an easy journey. The moment that you decide to walk that path, you have to have a passion for it. You need to enjoy what you are doing, and you need to keep yourself well read and be in academia. It never ends with that law degree, that basic law degree that we all possess in terms of the law school. It goes beyond that. You need to be able to associate yourselves with the community, associate yourselves with events that are happening even throughout the world, because law is more of a practical, it's a practical issue which solves the daily problems which are met by people, families, countries, continents, companies, and beyond. So you need to be very well read and well resourced in terms of your information.
Absolutely.
And it starts at a very young age.
It starts at a very young age.
Yes.
Wow. Well done, and congratulations for all your achievements.
Thank you so much.
I've also seen that you have recently been recognized by the CEO Network of Zimbabwe as an award-winning attorney. What has that meant for you and your career? That recognition by the CEO Network.
Thank you. If there's one thing that every human being desires, is to be recognized in one way or the other, and it gave me some sense of saying, I think I'm doing the right thing. When you are advancing your career and you are into business, sometimes you think, I'm just doing this for my family, I'm just doing this for my career. But that award came to cement my passion to say I must be doing enough for the community. And it actually came to say to me, I can do more.
Yes.
So that recognition was actually something which I really cherished, and I said, thank you so much, CEO Network, for that recognition.
Amazing. And
Yes,
once more, congratulations on that particular
so
achievement.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be delving into the next topic on this next segment, and it's a very important topic. I think one of the reasons why I brought you on, where we find that a lot of entrepreneurs and families here in Zimbabwe probably haven't got much knowledge on the issue of trusts and estate planning. So I will be talking a bit more about that on the next segment. Stay tuned on the Momentous podcast.
Thank you.
And welcome to another episode, another session. And I think on the last part, I was talking about the issue of trusts as entrepreneurs and business owners. I think this is an issue that a lot of people don't seem to have knowledge about. And I wanted to bring you on to really maybe help us understand, as an ordinary entrepreneur, business owners, why it's important, what is a trust, and how would that help any business owner? You know, maybe break it down to what is a trust and the benefits of having one as a business owner.
All right, maybe I will just try and put context to the issue of trust. Basically, trust is a very broad topic, and it covers a number of areas, which can include but not limited to business trust, charitable trust, family trust, testamentary trust, statutory trust. So it's a very broad, broad area. But maybe I may just want to probably limit it to as a family law.
Family law, yes.
As a family law attorney, I will just narrow it down to family trust and testamentary trust.
Yes.
Which I believe really. Of late, they become very topical. Reason being, I don't really know why suddenly trust have become so topical within our jurisdictions. To say, what are the advantages of me having a family trust? What are the disadvantages of me having a family trust for my family? So these can be derived from basically the meaning of what a trust is in essence, which is basically a relationship that exists between one donating particular assets to particular beneficiaries, which are being managed by identified trustees. So when one then forms a trust, what they've mainly done is to separate ownership from personal ownership to trustees' ownership, to say manage these assets on behalf of a particular group of beneficiaries on my behalf. So basically, that is where the security now comes into. Why? Because you would have removed ownership from yourself. It means whatever encumbrances or debts, credits which you create in your personal capacity, those don't affect properties that is owned by a trust. That's a kind of separation which you would have simply done. And secondly, it creates security even for your beneficiaries to then say what then should happen in the event that I'm no longer there. These are more like testamentary trust, which act as wills in a particular way, to say in the event that I'm no longer I'm deceased, my children must benefit from the properties which I would have left in this particular manner. So it's not only about an issue of what they benefit, is how they actually benefit and how it actually evolves from generation to generation.
Absolutely.
You see, being also a Christian guy, I believe that wealth must be transferably from. It's a legacy issue. I'm sure Proverbs says that a good man leaves wealth to generations. Yes. So we need to understand the meaning of leaving wealth. It's not just an issue of, you see, in our traditional forums, you'd appreciate that our fathers, when they talk of leaving, you would simply go to Musha and they would point out to say, this piece of land is yours, that cow, that goat is yours. But in the legal sense of it, when we actually say you are leaving an inheritance to generations, it means there must be rights recognized at law to say, here are the title deeds, here is the ownership, and how does that devolve or evolve from generation to how is it being managed, things like that. You know, I'm sure you have come across in our African sect where people actually we have a saying which says, afa nezvinhu zvake kana kuti afa arova. Wealthy business people would have achieved a lot, but at the time of when they leave us, all their businesses, all their wealth, it simply vanishes with them. Those are issues to do with estate planning.
So lack of
how was that legacy planned? Hence, I would always say it's a good thing for one to actually sit down with their legal counsel and get to understand what works. It's not in every situation where a trust becomes the solution. So you need to really sit down with your attorney to really get deeper insights to say what particular solution works in my circumstances. If I want to do a will, a trust, a company, what works to maintain the legacy within the spectrum of the family.
Okay, that's really insightful. Thank you for that explanation. So would you, I mean, in today's world where, you know, you talked of the cultural aspect, where if somebody is deceased, you know, the family, and a family of the deceased come in to maybe take what belongs to their relative. How does a trust or a will prevent that from happening, and who's responsible for executing, you know, the final wishes of the deceased, for example? I mean, this is just to really help somebody understand what really happens. So in the event that somebody is deceased and they've done a trust, they've done a will, but on the other side, you know, where they come from, their family is saying, you know, forget that, you know, we're the family, we're here to take what belongs to our family member. Who's responsible, and can the law really get involved? Who's responsible for executing that particular will or the particular trust?
All right, so basically, I'll simplify my response to probably say, whether it's a will, whether it's a trust, those testamentary documents are documents that allow you to live beyond your death. If you appreciate where I'm coming from, there are documents which allow you to say, even if you are deceased today, but you are alive on those documents.
Okay.
In that, whatsoever you so wish to say, after my death, such and such a process should happen to my estate, that can be brought into existence through those particular constitutive documents. So it's very important and it's very necessary for one to either have a will or to have a trust, to safeguard issues to do with what you have mentioned. You know, in our African customary spectrum, we have so many of those diverse customs that, of course, the law has become so advanced that even in the absence of those of the will and the trust, you know, your attorney can find ways of protecting the surviving spouse, whether it could be the husband or the wife. They could be protected because of how the law has developed to address those shortcomings of our customs throughout the country. But you don't want to leave that to the decision being made by lawyers and judges. You are able to then manage those affairs on your own, and we lawyers and judges, we just coming to simply rubber stamp what you would have already dealt with through your will and your trust document.
Absolutely, like you've said you know, in one of your comments earlier, you know, knowledge is power. So, you know, if somebody's watching out there, it's about having that knowledge of what needs to happen now, than waiting, you know, to let the law take its course, someone else to step in, but actually be intentional, be proactive, and apply yourself using the knowledge that you have. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I think you said rightfully that, you know, this issue of trusts and wills is something that is, it's coming about a lot, and there's a lot of discussion around it. And I just felt it was really important to bring somebody of legal background to really be able to educate the audience and really, this is not a consultation, of course, but really acclimatize them as what's required, the basic information, and then obviously they can then proceed to get extra information and be able to plan accordingly. Because I think as business owners and entrepreneurs, people are not very sure at what point do you start to plan to have a trust. That's another question, I guess, for me. At what point is somebody who's just started a business supposed to be putting a trust in place, or do you have to have accumulated a certain amount of wealth to then have a trust? What would you say to that?
Okay, basically what I'm going to just briefly comment on before I address the question is suddenly why has it become so topical? And my analysis and my researches has shown me that the next millionaires, the next billionaires are you and me, the Africans, the Zimbabweans here in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
We are the ones running businesses. Black empowerment is more of come and made us masters to our businesses. And you go to the mining sector, you go to the farming sector, you go to the commercial sector, transport sector. We are basically running the economy. Right. Now what this calls upon us, it's a responsibility to say we are mainly guardians of these businesses for our children.
Absolutely.
So being put in that position of trust, of being a custodian of that wealth, what measures are you putting to safeguard that wealth which you are attaining today? Because it will not be like this 10 years or 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
Fit yourself in a sector, 20 years, 30 years from now, you can't move from that sector. So how have you safeguarded your legacy such that your children, when they come in that transport industry, they know our father did this trust basically even for us. Could be an education trust. You can do an education trust for those children. So that is where the essence of estate management now comes into play to safeguard those issues. Yes.
Absolutely, and thank you for explaining that. I love the fact that you're certainly echoing that Black empowerment is upon us, and we need to realize the time that we are in as a people, and it's important that we plan ahead and that we are wise in how we then transfer that wealth and the assets, the things that we've worked so hard to achieve. We don't only work and then leave it here, but actually we are planning to say this is how we hope the wealth will be transferred to the next generation.
Very correct.
So thank you so much for that, and join me in the next segment as we continue on this discussion.
Thank you.
And welcome to the final segment of the Momentous podcast, and I'm still speaking to Mr. Edson Homera, partner at Zvimba Chambers and law firm here in Zimbabwe. We were talking about a very interesting topic that anybody needs to be hearing in today about wealth transference, protecting one's assets as a business owner, as a family, etc. And you rightfully addressed the importance of that and why people should do it. But I wanted to also bring you to discuss the issue of wills. You talked about wills. When somebody, especially in the diaspora and people abroad, or even here in Zimbabwe, could have done a will, and in that will they rightfully say, I want to be buried at such a place. But again, when we look at our culture and the people responsible for burying any one individual, it's where you come from. So I want to ask you, how can the law, or how does yourself as a legal practitioner, how would you advocate for somebody who has then written a will to say, I want to be buried at A, B, C, but the family are saying, no, they need to be buried at another place? What would you do? I mean, how would you help somebody in that situation? Or how would you advocate for that particular family?
Basically what we must understand is that a will in its nature goes beyond just being a piece of paper. It is a legal document, which is here in Zimbabwe, it is recognized in terms of the Wills Act. It means it is law. The moment that one concludes a will, and the will meets all the formalities of a will, that document supersedes any decision of family members, the spouse, the children, etc. It becomes binding. Right. I would actually, it comes in mind what you actually referring to say, when one writes in their will to be said, I want to be buried in such a place, and then you decide to bury them at a very different place. That actually can be challenged. In actual fact, I have done one similar case before, where the court actually ordered that body to be exhumed and reburied in terms of what the testator had said in the will. So those are issues which the court can actually deal with. These days we are privileged that information is right at our fingertips. You guys can actually Google a case in Chagwanda versus Chagwanda, where the Supreme Court actually stresses the power of a will, in that you can't, even as a surviving spouse, even after having been disinherited by the other spouse from the will, challenge the will to say, why have I been disinherited from the will? As long as the testator has distributed assets that belong to him, that will cannot be challenged.
Wow. That's really interesting and very much, it's mind-boggling for me, because thinking of a body being exhumed, that's how much power the court has. And it's really something I think anyone needs to be hearing. And the importance again of will writing. How often should a person be thinking about, reviewing their will? How often should they be thinking about looking at it? And who needs to be involved in the writing of a will? Suppose I'm married to Mr. A. Should I be sitting with my husband and doing the will together with our children there? Or is that something private to the individual?
Well, I would hasten to say that fundamentally a will is something that you must privately do with your attorney, or in the presence of a close friend. But one important aspect which you must then be alive to is the fact that the law forbids a beneficiary to take part in the writing of a will. In the instance that if a beneficiary is present in the making of a will, that will can be nullified on that simple basis. So it is one thing which you must do privately. Although our law recognizes joint wills. Joint wills are wills which you can do together with your spouse, to then indicate that if one spouse then predeceases another, what should then happen. Those kind of wills, the law does recognize them. But as if you are a beneficiary, the law forbids that you take part in the crafting of a will which you have interest in.
Wow, interesting.
Yes,
very much interesting. Something new for me, and I'm sure the audience at large. So what role do you think yourselves as legal practitioners and law firms have in helping individuals, business owners, entrepreneurs, families in understanding and taking a more proactive approach when it comes to, these important issues? What role do you think?
Yeah, we correct. We do have a very important role in the society, in that most of these issues they assist in preserving the legacy of a nation, and they assist even in reducing a poverty rate, even in the country. Once you work for something, your children must be able to enjoy what you would have worked for in a legally recognizable manner. And we have taken part in most community development issues, where we have consistently spoken about these issues, whether it's in our churches, in the community. We are invited. We always repeat these issues to say, ensure that this is put in place. Have your will and have your trust. At the end of the day, the headaches comes to us when disputes are now erupting. From if there's one said issues, which I've always emphasized on clients who come to me having deceased disputes. I've always said, gentlemen, if you are not careful, you will have the entire estate being consumed by legal fees.
Wow.
And these are issues which one could have dealt with and avoided before time.
Absolutely.
So you always try and push. These are family members. This is mother and son, or now fighting over the deceased properties, and we always try and see how best can we resolve these issues amicable without the need of getting into litigation, which is exorbitant in nature. So at the end of the day, these issues come calling at our doors, and we try by all means to say, before they actually come, we conscientize the community, we conscientize the society to say, you can still do this before problems actually erupt.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you're talking about community engagement, working with the church fraternity at large, because I feel that's an area where that information should rightfully be distributed, where people can really get that information that is so crucial. In as much as they have the spiritual food, they're getting the legal, knowledge is power. That's what the scripture says. So I think that's really good, and I'm really glad you're doing that work with the community. But do you feel that you're doing enough as the legal fraternity? Do you feel that more can be done?
It's a very difficult question to answer. It can never be enough. More will continue, even post us. Next generation would still need to talk about constantly talk about these issues. Community engagement is an ongoing process. It can never come to an end. So definitely we still need to do more.
Education. We'll continue to learn and get more information. I heard you speak about the men and the work in the church, and I know that this month particularly is Men's Health Month. How are you, as a man yourself, an entrepreneur, as a leader? How are you looking after your own mental health? And what would you say to the other men that may be watching this podcast today in regards to generally looking after the mental health? How are you striking the balance? I guess you're faced with so many cases every day that can be mentally draining, and how are you balancing? How are you striking that balance and managing your own mental well-being?
Well, for myself, I would say I've had a realization and understanding that I'm a social being naturally. Human beings are social beings, and never shut yourself out from the world.
Absolutely.
Never shut yourself out from the world. When you require assistance, get assistance. When you need medical assistance, get assistance, and have a sense of belonging to some society or community. Whether you're going to church, I go to church myself, and I find going to church as a way of actually
Yes.
relieving my mental issues.
Absolutely.
And addressing some of my concerns. So whether you're going to church, whether you go to the gym, whether you play golf like I do, whether you go for sporting activities,
Yes.
Engagement,
Yes.
always find yourself being part and parcel of something
Community.
in the
Yes.
community, and that will help you to be able to say,
Yes.
whenever you have a problem, you are able to approach
Yes.
whether it's your pastor, whether it's your parent, etc., to talk about these issues. Don't buckle things within yourselves.
Absolutely.
Because the moment you do that, you have mental
And
issues
issues.
which you fail to control.
Yes.
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 And don't resort to drug and substance abuses. It could be alcohol, it could be
Yes.
don't abuse or overtake
Yes.
those issues as a way of trying to solve your problems. Speak
Absolutely.
it up
Absolutely.
and have it resolved by
Absolutely.
people. Yes.
Absolutely. And that's coming from Mr. Homera, and he's talking about, being part of a community, engaging, asking for help. And I think I really like that part because is it true, would you say it's true that, as black men or as men naturally, men are not good at asking for help? They're not good at, being vulnerable. What would be your encouragement for any man that may be watching? Because I think it's seen as a weakness to ask for help, to break down and cry, to say, to express yourself in that way, and as a result, so many men then suffer from high blood pressure, they suffer from depression, and even higher rates are happening of suicide in men. What would you say to fellow men that may be watching in regards to vulnerability?
Yeah, I'm not really much of a professional in those areas, but definitely I would always emphasize to say that gone are the days where we distinguish issues to do with the mental health issues, to say these are cases that should be for women, for men. At the end of the day, you cut me with a knife today, I will bleed.
Absolutely.
You cut a woman with a knife, she will bleed.
Absolutely.
We are all human beings.
Absolutely.
We are all people. Get professional help.
Absolutely.
Get professional help when it's
Absolutely.
necessary, and you will be assisted.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Any final words from yourself to our listeners today? Any final words that you'd like to leave with them from yourself?
Yes, I would emphasize on the point to say that legacy has to be protected. And while we are working so hard and accumulating our wealth, let's think about the future generations to say, are we doing justice to the generation? Are we safeguarding our wealth as custodians of that wealth? And have we done enough to avoid disputes that are as a result of our lack of estate planning? So I would encourage viewers, and I would encourage listeners to say that seek professional help. Always engage with your attorney, engage with your legal counsel on issues to do with how to protect your assets, how to protect your wealth, how to protect your business, so that that legacy which you are leaving is also benefits not only you but future generations to come. And always take care of your mental health.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Homera, right here on the Momentous podcast. And I will just echo the words, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children.
Definitely.
And that's
Definitely.
really what Mr. Homera has been explaining here on estate planning, the importance of taking out a trust. And he's just really saying, go out there and get an advocate. Details for yourself. How can people get in touch with yourself? Maybe they may want to have a consultation. How can they get in touch with yourself at your law firm?
All right, you are free to search for us on our website, www.mzlawchambers.co.za, and or you can even contact us on our mobile phones, 0773 515 466, and we are situated here in Harare, 37 Bradfield Road in Hillside, Anytime you can get in touch and we can be able to assist where possible.
Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And thank you once more for coming on the Momentous podcast. It's really been insightful to learn some of the things that affect us that we can really avoid if we get the right advice at the right time. It's really been an insightful discussion here with Mr. Homera from Zvimba Law and Chambers, and talking about trust and estate planning, the importance of that. And this is your channel, Momentous Podcast, where we speak to business leaders, change makers, and entrepreneurs. Until next time, catch you later.